What's a better strategy when trying to increase sales? Using coupons or strike through discounts? So, strike through discounts, I like for the aspect that they kind of play twofold. They're really nice and pretty from a click through rate standpoint because it shows that strike through, but they also obviously help with the conversion because your price is lower. Now, coupon codes, on the other hand, do have some necessary benefits to them, such as being able to target specific audiences with certain coupons. You're able to set up coupons for multi-pack deals, things like that. So they have different use cases. Now, if your only goal here at the end of the day is to increase sales, just go with a strike through because it's easiest and price is the number one converting factor. How can I improve orders considering my A plus and listing images are already great, but the problem is my product is high value in comparison with competitors. My product provides better value. It's differentiation. Above the fold differentiation, right? So if you have a product that is better, but it's far more expensive, year one, you don't want to compete and you don't want to advertise against products. They're just super inexpensive compared to you, right? Because you are not going to convert somebody if you are three, four times the price of some other product. If your products do the exact same thing, nor is your customer base going to be the exact same. Differentiation above the fold product images, first and foremost. Secondarily, try and figure out the actual high converting keywords. Don't just go off of keywords that they are also targeting. If I lower my price and later see a red cross on the featured offer, does that affect the buy box? Why does it happen? Yeah, so that's called a strike through price. Essentially, strike through pricing just means that you have a sale price going on from your actual listing price. Does it affect featured offer? I mean, no, not really. I mean, unless you and multiple people are selling the same. I am currently saying the list price for $29.99. I have been saying the sale price for $27.99 for more than 30 days now. But when I reduced the price yesterday, I didn't get the badge. Another issue that I'm facing, which I have raised my sale price from $25.99 to $27.99 in the last 30 days, and avoided applying any discounts or promotions over this month, is that I wanted to raise the minimum allowed promotion discount on Amazon system from $24.69 to $26.59. But after those 30 days have passed, I tried to run a discount coupon for net price of $26.59, and I got error message telling me to raise the discount to $24.99 as it was before those 30 days. Yep. So this is the difference between average selling price and was price, right? So you have to have an average selling price. So just because you raise the price over the course of 30 days does not give you an average selling price, right? Because the big thing you have to understand is that you were selling your product at a different price. So you have to actually have both the was price. So what was your was price? That is what affects typically promotions of some kind, not coupons. Coupons usually go off of the lowest price within the last 30 days. It sounds like maybe you're not actually tracking the 30 days as well, because that's not normally how this works. But yeah, the percentage field should show up with the sale price, but realistically, if your list price and then a sale price, it's always going to go off of your was and your average price. Was price being the lowest price you have had in the last 30 days, and then your average selling price being exactly that. What is the average price you have been selling the product at within a certain time frame? How do you tackle your insane competitor when he starts to bring prices down, giving insane discounts and getting more sales? Price is the number one converting factor. The thing is, at the end of the day, you can beat people out for price to a certain extent if you just have a better product and your product makes most sense. If I'm selling a deck of cards and my competitor goes like, oh, I also have this deck of cards and it is 50% of the price of your deck of cards, right? No one is ever going to buy my deck of cards if we're selling the exact same product, unless I have brand loyalty behind me. But even then, brand loyalty only extends so much when it comes to discounts. The biggest thing I would just say here is that price is number one converting factor. If you have no ability to compete on price, you have to compete on differentiation within your product. What makes your product better? How can you target the market in a way that sees your product as being worth that premium price compared to theirs? How do I relaunch an existing ASIN, dog supplies? I have had it at much lower price for months now and still hasn't sold as much as I had hoped with the drop in price. It did at first, but now it has maintained stagnant at certain amount of sales. No longer have Strikethrough. I am now restructuring PPC with hopes to help boost ranking and sales. But with this relaunch, I don't want to lower price. Is there any other strategy to boost it as though I lowered price substantially? The primary thing here that you need to drive is your advertising. So you're essentially stuck in an SEO phase for like 6 months here. So Amazon has 180-day look back when they're looking at sales volume and for SEO. And so their primary thing that you're going to have to do is pretty much be like 100% PPC oriented until you get some ranking back for your SEO and for your category that will allow you to get sales volume again organically. So I would really focus very, very heavily on your PPC strategy for this relaunch. Worst case scenario, create a new ASIN and just relaunch the product entirely with a new ASIN and new UPC. How strict is Amazon about your off Amazon pricings, and how good is it at finding those? They are pretty strict about it, and they are pretty good at finding it. Now, if you don't attach a UPC to your off Amazon, it makes it a little bit harder for them to find it, but I can almost assure you they will find it. Their AI and their detection system has gotten really, really good at crawling people's websites. I actually posted a video a couple of weeks back talking about how Amazon now will suppress people's listings for specifically just like text and claims that they make on their website that Amazon doesn't show, right? So they're really good at it. Now, you can skirt under the radar for a short while, sure, but eventually it will catch up to you. What happens is they essentially just suppress the listing for a high pricing error. So Amazon wants the price on Amazon and on your website to be the exact same as well as every other website across the board. See it often with people who do wholesale in some capacity that, some wholesaler will list it for $10 cheaper on their website because they're okay with only having a 5% margin. And you end up getting hit with a high pricing error. So yeah, I would probably not do it long term, but short term it's fine. Just know that it will get caught at some point in time. Again, there are ways to skirt this by not having UPC attached, things like that, but it's still fairly difficult. How can you have these same prices on and off Amazon if you have different fees and margins on each platform? Do all Amazon sellers really have their off Amazon prices higher or equal to Amazon prices? Yeah, so not everyone does, right? Not everyone does, but you're kind of supposed to, and you kind of have to at some point in time. And so the realistic thing to say there is everyone who is selling off Amazon is just making a way higher margin for their product, right? So this is where we get into the conversation of things like map pricing policies, where you have a minimum advertised price. And essentially, whatever your Amazon price is what the minimum advertised price of your product is typically going to be and should be. Now, is that, the case across the board at all times? No, not necessarily, but it is something that, you have to take note of, something you should know about. And realistically, it just means, yeah, you're just going to be making higher margins on your own site and on potentially other sites compared to Amazon. But, that's one of the catches is that it's also more expensive to advertise on other sites a lot of times and trying to get traffic. The average customer acquisition cost on Amazon is going to be much, much lower than the customer acquisition cost for your own website at the end of the day. And that's just because Amazon already has the people there, right? You already have the audience and the entire market who shops on Amazon versus your website. Nobody knows your website, right? So you're going to have a lower conversion rate on your website. You're going to have a harder time getting people to your website. It's going to be more expensive usually. So you say higher margins and stuff like that. It's up in the air. It's, 50-50, in my opinion, on whether or not that's fully true all the time. But yeah, it's good to have a minimum advertised price that you just stick with across the board anyways, because it also helps just keep your brand very stable and looks a lot nicer. You have multiple clients. How do you manage all their prices outside Amazon, and do all of them really sell for the same or higher price off Amazon? How do you handle this problem in Mac? Yeah, absolutely. I think the biggest thing at the end of the day is exactly what I said. Have a minimum advertised price and it's not a problem, right? You can still have the same cost of goods. You still have everything. The only difference is that you have an extra, 3 line items in there. Actually, not even 3, like 2 line items. Line item number 1 is the Amazon referral fee, right? And line item number 2, which doesn't really even count because you're going to have this anyway, but would be the fulfillment fee, which you still are going to have on shipping, or on Shopify or anything like that. So the reality is, I think the problem you're having here is this idea of like having Amazon, which let's say you have 25% margin on Amazon, but then on your website, due to not having that referral fee of 15%, you instead have 40% margins, right? All it is just meaning that on your website, you're able to have, a little bit higher of a ROAS or lower of a ROAS, and you're able to have a higher customer acquisition cost, about 15% higher. And reality is, I mean, there are companies that I think the thing you're even getting into, Serge, if you really want to think about it, is this idea of there are brands and companies out there that sell in, like, let's say 20 different countries that all have different tax codes. They all have different markets. They sell them all at different prices, etc. Right? Like, all you're really kind of saying is, hey, this is really difficult. Which it is. It is kind of frustrating, but you have to think of it with every single marketplace and everywhere you sell as a kind of different area, right? A different retail orientation. What if your client wants to run a discount on their website so the website price may temporarily become lower? Is this allowed or not, or how to do it safely? Do they inform you about such moves? Yeah, so technically speaking, discounts aren't supposed to apply to the high pricing error that you can get on Amazon. However, I have seen situations where that's not the case, especially if there's a very large discount. Great example, I think it was last year or the year before. We had a client internally where they also did a lot of like retail wholesale. And so they were selling to, I think it was Nordstrom. And Nordstrom wanted to clear out their stock. And so Nordstrom threw like a 30+% discount on all of the products. Amazon flagged that and it was like, hey, high pricing error. We obviously fought back against it because it's a discount. We're also not in control of the pricing that they do. Eventually we got it cleared up with Amazon, but yeah, it was annoying because for a week or two there, we couldn't have it. You can have some variance in your overall pricing. Usually it's about 15% before Amazon really flag you for high pricing error. It also depends on how often and how long you are running that pricing discount, right? Because the big aspect that you have to think about is if I have a pricing discount that is constant all the time, let's say Amazon system checks once every 3 months, it's going to see it. Whereas if I'm just running a short-term discount for, I don't know, a week or two, very unlikely that they're going to catch that. We do okay, but wonder what your pricing strategy would be. Coupons, sales. I'm not the biggest fan of coupons at the end of the day. Something that I think people have lost the eye for is like dynamic pricing, which I find to work really, really well. Just doing a 3 to 4 day really cheap or really steep discount, 20, 25%, that's kind of steep for a lot of people. And then from there, just do things such as like brand tailored promotions where you have like very high intent buyers that you're trying to re-engage. That's usually the type of thing that I'm looking at for most decent pricing strategies, I should say.